good morning, evening, or night. Wherever you are, welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time, as we wrap up Sunday, 8th June 2025. Let's see what stories are unfolding around us. The Philippines is set to bolster its Air Force after finalizing a $700 million deal with Korea Aerospace Industries, KAI, for 12 additional A-50 light attack aircraft. This purchase will double the country's current F-50 fleet and improve its combat capabilities. The decision comes after the Philippines considered acquiring F-16 fighters, a plan that now seems less probable. In other news, the U.S. Navy, U.S. Marine Corps, and the Armed Forces of the Philippines recently engaged in a maritime cooperative activity. Simultaneously, a Chinese carrier strike group was spotted sailing east of the Philippines, marking what has been called a record deployment in the region. This follows an earlier purchase of 12 F-50s delivered between 2015 and 2017. The new contract is worth $280. The Philippine Air Force seeks to enhance its capabilities with this acquisition. Canada. Turning to Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government faces increasing scrutiny over its carbon tax policy. Several provinces oppose the tax, arguing it harms their economies. The Supreme Court of Canada upheld the tax's legality. However, political tensions remain high. Canada is also grappling with wildfires across several provinces. Thousands have been evacuated, and air quality has deteriorated significantly in many areas. The federal government is providing assistance to affected regions. United Kingdom. Across the Atlantic, the United Kingdom is preparing for upcoming general elections. The Conservative Party, led by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, is trailing in the polls. The Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer, is currently favoured to win. Key issues include the economy, healthcare, and Brexit. The UK government also recently announced new measures to tackle illegal immigration. The plan involves sending asylum seekers to Rwanda. But this policy has faced legal challenges and widespread criticism. Meanwhile, in France, President Emmanuel Macron's government is dealing with ongoing social unrest. Recent pension reforms, which raised the retirement age, sparked widespread protests and strikes. The government is attempting to address public concerns through dialogue. France is also preparing to host the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Security measures are being ramped up to ensure the safety of athletes and spectators. China. In China, the government has announced new measures to stimulate economic growth. The economy has been slowing down in recent months. The measures include tax cuts and infrastructure spending. China is also continuing to expand its military presence in the South China Sea. This has led to tensions with neighboring countries. The United States has criticized China's actions. Russia. Amidst ongoing geopolitical tensions, Russia continues its military operations in Ukraine. Negotiations between the two countries remain stalled. Russia has also faced increasing international sanctions. The Russian economy has been impacted by these sanctions. Domestically, President Vladimir Putin's government has tightened its grip on power, suppressing dissent and limiting freedom of expression. Ukraine's creative drone warfare strategies, which include employing deception, are providing critical insights for the U.S. military and its allies, especially regarding nuclear strategy. This follows a bold drone raid that revealed certain weaknesses, prompting the U.S. Air Force chief to suggest that systems such as Golden Dome might defend against such attacks, with reports indicating that Russia is planning retaliatory actions for the spiderweb operation. Ukraine's Air Force is on high alert. Despite the ongoing conflict, Ukraine and Russia recently participated in peace negotiations in Turkey following intense attacks from both sides. Continued European aid is flowing into Ukraine, though specifics were not detailed. Russia is allegedly planning retaliatory measures in response to Ukraine's spiderweb operation, which has put the Ukrainian Air Force on heightened alert. Russia and Ukraine engaged in peace talks in Turkey amidst the ongoing conflict. President Putin has introduced a plan to further the development of artificial intelligence within Russia, although further details were not provided. The UK Prime Minister is pushing for a larger military, citing the perceived threat from Russia. The United States is learning from Ukraine's innovative drone warfare, especially the use of deception, which has implications for U.S. military strategy, particularly in the nuclear domain. A recent Ukrainian drone raid exposed vulnerabilities, leading the U.S. Air Force chief to suggest deploying systems like Golden Dome as a defense against similar attacks. Also mentioned was a reported nuclear offer from Trump to Iran. However, specifics surrounding this offer were not included. In the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister is advocating for a larger military in response to perceived threats, especially those emanating from Russia. The UK's 2025 Strategic Defence Review is currently under scrutiny to determine its potential consequences for the Royal Air Force, RAF, and the country's overall air power capabilities. The United States is currently navigating a complex landscape of international relations, highlighted by Donald Trump's call with China's leader, a move aimed at potentially restarting stalled trade talks. In a bid to enhance its defense capabilities, the Pentagon's Defense Innovation Unit, DIU Project GI, is set to revolutionize drone technology by incorporating real-time feedback from frontline operations, learning from Ukraine's adaptive drone warfare strategies. Meanwhile, the U.S. has put forward its candidate for the next Supreme Allied Commander of NATO and appointed leaders for US forces in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. However, the U.S. has decided to postpone the delivery of F-16 fighter jets to Taiwan and has also opted against supplying air defense systems to bolster Ukrainian deterrence forces in the aftermath of the conflict. Furthermore, allegations have surfaced suggesting a clandestine U.S. plan to launch an attack on China from South Korea should Taiwan be invaded. Turning to Australia, the nation is actively reinforcing its defense partnerships within the region. Australia and Indonesia have forged an agreement to conduct joint military exercises, reinforcing their shared commitment to regional security. Further demonstrating this collaborative spirit, the Australian Chief of Navy recently made a visit to New Zealand, further strengthening defense bonds. The article also highlights ongoing Australian defense programs. Russia's fertilizer exports remain crucial for European agriculture, prompting discussions in Brussels, even amidst the conflict in Ukraine. Russia seeks to dominate artificial intelligence through the BRICS alliance, leading the United States to reinforce its AI partnerships. In a military move, Russia relocated two Tu-160 bombers to a site roughly 410 miles from the U.S. border. Following Ukraine's successful raid on a Russian Air Force base, Russia retaliated with a large-scale drone and missile assault on Ukraine, resulting in casualties reported in Kyiv. Indonesia is currently evaluating the acquisition of 42 Chinese-made J-10 Vigorous Dragon fighter jets, a move prompted by slow progress in securing a deal for US-made F-15X aircraft. The J-10 is known as a capable battle-tested platform. The United Kingdom is currently engaged in discussions with the United States regarding the acquisition of additional nuclear-capable F-35A stealth fighters for its Royal Air Force. Shifting focus, the Argentine Air Force's prospective F-16 AIM-EM fighter jets are potentially slated for exhibition at the Royal International Air Tattoo. United States Buy American initiative is reportedly backfiring, emphasizing the need for U.S. and European policy coordination. The U.S. Air Force estimates the retrofitting of a Qatari jet at under $400 million, far less than other estimates exceeding $1 billion. Concerns are growing that a diminished U.S. presence in satellite imagery could allow China to dominate future conflict narratives. Analysts suggest that trust with some Asian allies has been undermined. 25 U.S. cadets and midshipmen are in Poland for the Auschwitz Jewish Center's American Service Academies program. The USS Tripoli has been deployed forward to Japan. Turning to China, the nation is expanding its maritime influence, highlighting its Coast Guard's capabilities to Pacific nations and signaling intentions for more high seas patrols. China may control the narrative of future conflicts if the U.S. falters in the satellite imagery sector. In Southeast Asia, the Singapore and Indonesian armed forces have completed their bilateral counterterrorism field training exercise, Griffin Kakti. Moving to South Korea, discussions are ongoing about the implications of potential U.S. troop withdrawal. Despite strong performance, many South Korean applicants fail to meet the U.S. Air Force's entry requirements. In other news, the Thai Air Force has chosen Sweden's Saab Gripen EF fighter jet to bolster its air power, confirming Thailand's deal with Sweden for Gripen fighter jets. Across the Atlantic, Munich, Germany, has become Europe's top tech startup hub, attracting founders with its access to capital, expertise, and networks. Examining military strategies, lessons from the 173rd Airborne Brigade's exercises in Lithuania and Tunisia are being studied, focusing on FPV drone usage. In the Middle East, the Lebanese army warns that continued Israeli airstrikes may force it to suspend cooperation with the ceasefire committee. In South America, Argentina's Air Force is looking to acquire one Embraer A140 or A145 aircraft. Meanwhile, on the African continent, Ethiopia is noted to possess a modern army. Finally, revisiting Qatar, the U.S. Air Force estimates the cost of retrofitting a Qatari jet at less than $400 million, which is a significantly lower figure than other estimates that exceed $1 billion. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM today.